The Raspberry Worm. Once upon a time, in the simple town of Rosenberg, in a little home by the woods, lived a family of 4. Anna and her 3 children, Edward, Chloe, and Zoe. They would use raspberries to make fruit preserves like jams and jellies. This was the heart of the town's food, raspberries.
Come on, kids. Breakfast is ready.
Coming, Mother. Edward, stop it.
I got you.
Eat your food now, kids. Edward, stop bullying your sister.
They were all eating their breakfast just when Chloe screamed loud.
Ah!
What is it?
It's a worm.
Ew. Where did it come from?
It was on the raspberry, the big one.
Kill it.
No!
Let me just crush it.
Edward, ew. No. Don't do that. And Chloe, why so much fuss over a tiny little worm? Just blow it off.
Chloe took a raspberry leaf and carefully dragged the worm onto it. She went out into the yard with Zoe to help the worm to safety.
Chloe, look there, a sparrow. If we leave little Wormy here, the sparrow will eat him up in no time. Let us go into the woods then. We can keep him there.
The girls went into the woods and found a small raspberry bush where they set the little worm free.
This is the perfect place for Wormy. How lucky he is to have this dark red roof above him, surrounded with so many beautiful trees and flowers.
They made their way back home, and later that night, they all sat down for dinner and ate some delicious sandwiches and yummy raspberries and cream to their heart's content. They ate and ate till all the raspberries had been finished and relished every bite of it.
We seem to have finished all the raspberries, and now we have none left to preserve for the winter.
Zoe and I shall go into the woods tomorrow and get some more raspberries, Mother.
Very well. Then make sure you pick the freshest berries.
Yes, Mother.
The next day, Chloe and Zoe got ready to go to the woods to pick the fresh and juicy berries. Chloe picked up the blue basket and Zoe the yellow one.
Be safe, girls, and make sure to be home before sunset. You know, it's not safe in the woods after sunset.
And greet the raspberry worm for me. Tell him the next time I see him, I shall eat him up.
And so, Chloe and Zoe made their way through the woods, jumping over fallen trees and through the bushes, getting caught in the branches of trees filled with sweet and juicy fruits, rushing through the woods looking for the raspberry bushes. The duo went on till they reached a part of the forest with berries all over, elderberries, bilberries, blueberries, but no raspberries. They continued into the forest searching for the raspberry bushes and went on, deep into the woods until they landed in a big plain with raspberry bushes everywhere, as far as one could see, which would only leave one's mouth watering.
This is unbelievable. So many beautiful red raspberry bushes everywhere.
All the bushes were filled with dark red raspberries that the 2 little ones had never, ever seen before. The 2 feasted on the juicy red raspberries and picked some, and in no time, their baskets were full to the brim.
Now, let us take these baskets back home. No, wait. Let us pick some more before we go.
And so they picked more of the juicy raspberries and filled up the pockets of their aprons and got ready to get back home. Both the girls held a basket in one hand and their aprons in one hand and made their way home. Chloe and Zoe walked and walked, but they lost their way. They had never been so far deep in the woods before. They could not find any road nor path to lead them back home, and to make matters worse, the sun was beginning to set. The shadows of the trees were long, and the birds were flying back to their home as the day was closing in.
I'm a little worried. I don't know where we are. Don't worry, Zoe. I'm sure we're near the end of the woods, and we'll see the smoke coming from the chimney at home pretty soon.
As they continued to wander through the woods, it became dark, and they got even more scared. They walked and walked until suddenly they heard a small little fairy fly right in front of them, startling the little girls.
Hello.
The fairy gestured to them to follow her and flew a bit ahead, looking back at them, waiting for them to follow. Just then they heard a growl from the woods behind them, and the girls quickly rushed to follow the fairy. The fairy led the girls to a huge plain filled with bushes and then disappeared into thin air.
Where are we? It's dark. I can't see anything. Wait, I think I know where we are. We are back in the raspberry wood.
Zoe and Chloe were tired from walking all day and began to cry as they dropped on the grass.
I'm scared and so hungry. I wish I had a sandwich to eat right now.
As she said that, she felt something in her hand.
Oh, what a miracle. I have a sandwich in my hand. I have one too. If only I had a nice glass of milk too.
No sooner did she finish her sentence that she felt something in the grasp of her little hands.
Zoe, I have a glass of milk in my hands. This is magical. I have one too. I'm sure this is the work of the lovely fairy that guided us here.
And so the girls ate and drank the milk and satisfied their hunger.
I hope we find a nice place to sleep now.
Just as they said that, they found themselves next to a soft bed for them to sleep on. And so, Chloe and Zoe covered themselves and slept through the night. The next morning, as Chloe woke up, the sun was shining bright. They were surrounded by the beautiful green trees of summer, and the birds were flying about chirping and singing their beautiful melodies.
How beautiful this is! To sleep among the woods surrounded by beautiful raspberry bushes. Chloe, wake up!
They looked at each other in wonder, realizing that they slept in the woods. They looked at the bed which they slept in, made of the finest straws of flax, and covered leaves and a soft bed of moss.
Is this a dream? Pinch me, Chloe, because I think I'm still dreaming. Ouch! I didn't mean for you to actually pinch me. Well, now you know you aren't dreaming, sis. I wonder where the good fairy is that has been so kind to us.
Just then, they saw a sparkle burst in the air in front of them. And there she was, the fairy floating in front of them, smiling and waving at them.
Oh, hello! You have been so kind.
Just then, an old man walked out from behind the raspberry bushes in an elegant white coat and a red cap. He had a dress cane with him, which had a red crystal raspberry crown, which gleamed like a ruby in the light.
Ah, I see you've met Seraphina. Allow me to introduce myself. I am King Rubus, the King of Raspberries. I reign over the kingdom of raspberry bushes, and I have lived here for thousands and thousands of years. I sent Seraphina to save you from the beast that runs through the woods at night. I did not want to scare you in the darkness of the woods.
The girls were amazed at the idea of being the king of raspberries and had a big grin on their face as they listened to the king.
I have been cursed by the spirit of the elements, Eremos, who rules over all the earth, wind, water, and fire, that every 100 years I shall turn into a vulnerable raspberry worm. This is his way of teaching me the value of the gift that I have so gracefully been given, immortality.
Zoe told the girls about how it was the day that he had transformed into a raspberry worm and was carried with the raspberry that landed in Chloe's plate.
I would have been eaten or trampled had it not been for you two who saved me. And as you dragged me onto the leaf, I had twisted my leg, causing me to limp around. I lay under the bush that you had left me at till sunset, and as soon as I transformed back into my normal form, I looked for you, so that I could thank you for saving my life and reward you for your kindness. Then I found you both here in my kingdom and wanted to come thank you without frightening you.
He told them that he would send Serafina along with them to guide them through the woods back to their home, safe and sound.
Thank you so much for keeping us safe, kind sir.
You are most welcome, my children. Expect to find gifts waiting for you once you return home. And tell Edward I shall eat him up the next time I see him.
Oh, please don't do that. Please forgive him.
Don't worry, I forgive him. Revenge is never good. I was just joking.
The girls let out a sigh of relief and they hugged King Rubus.
Goodbye, my little kind hearts. Always be this kind and generous.
The two girls picked up the baskets and followed Serafina as she took them through the woods back home. As soon as the girls reached the house, Serafina waved goodbye and disappeared. There was great joy and happiness when the girls had reached home.
Oh, I am so glad you girls are okay. Where were you all night? I told you the woods aren't safe at night.
The girls explained everything to their mother and Edward and told them about King Rubus and his enchanted kingdom.
I am just glad that you two are fine and back home.
Oh, an old man had come by earlier and left this for you.
When they looked in the basket, they saw two beautiful bracelets studded with shiny red stones in the shape of raspberries.
Wow, this is so beautiful. Edward, there's something for you too.
It was a silver brooch in the shape of a raspberry worm. Edward was quite ashamed, and he understood what it meant, and never did he ever harm another being and was always kind.
How wonderful. Now I shall go get dinner ready, kids. Go and wash yourselves and get dressed for dinner.
Just as their mother went into the kitchen, she was surprised to find 10 baskets on the table filled with juicy red raspberries. She wondered how it got there, but guessed it was a gift from the Raspberry King. And so they all made their raspberry preserves, and since they had so many, they started selling the bottles of jam by the dozen. At last, proving that if you are kind to others, irrespective of who it is, you shall get kindness in return.